Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vadiazo back with Carpe Vanguard deck profile, so we got Jordan time subscribe and so sorry. This time we are covering another new deck from DZ set to Lyrical Monasterio, MMe-G. So, MMe-G is this knockoff Charmant, actually no, it is pretty much Charmant version of for Lyrical Monasterio and the main boosters, where you want the different units of the ride line on board to do skills, and the reason why I specified different units of the ride line is because currently the only units that have the name that are required for the skills are part of the ride line. I don't know why Bushi does this, because the deck was, I playtested it on accident with all of the units, including the support cards, having the name MMe-G, which is what all the support cards require, and the deck wasn't that busted. It wasn't busted at all, but man, they're restricting it to making it only the ride line cards that currently have it. Oh, great Scott, that's not a good thing. But let's go ahead and get this deck profile started, because I found a way to make the deck work. This deck is different than the one that I had on my fight video against Android, because in that match against Android, like I said, I had thought that all the support cards had MMe-G as well. So this is different from that version, but it's more consistent. So let's get this started. First up, we have our energy generator. It's a ride deck crest. You may have one ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck, when you would ride, put this card into your crest zone. If you win second, energy charge 3. Continues after 10 energies, and auto at the beginning of ride phase, energy charge 3. And then after once per turn, energy blast 7, draw a card. All around pretty solid. It's a free energy charge every turn, and you get a free draw. Nothing in this deck except for one card uses energy, so you most likely will always get that free draw. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, the only other card in this deck that uses energy actually can get you the free draw. That automatically tells you what that card is. So you'll pretty much always be using that energy to get a draw, which is nice, so it helps increase hand cards. And you're getting 3 free energy every turn. So worst comes to worst, on that turn where you might need to, instead of getting that draw, get something else out of it, you can definitely afford to do so, because you're always gonna get that free energy charge 3. So it's nice energy, ride deck crest, so obviously one of them in the red deck. And then we have our starter, MMe-G Belcare. So blue care. I know how to say that. I don't know why I can't say it this morning. Anyways, grade 0 boost 5k, Shosuke, base auto road upon can draw a card, standard starter. Nothing just about just a free draw if you go second. Like the well, I guess kind of like Trick Moon and Trick Star from Bath Saga and Nirvana respectively. This grade 0 is heavily integral to the main grade 3 playstyle. It's kind of like Avant-Garde, where the grade 0 actually needs to be in Soul though, except the difference is this actually gets placed on Vanguard Circle thanks to the skill of the main grade 3, which is cool. It's just the requirements to hit it are kind of hell. But all around, it's a nice start. It's a free draw if you win second. Obviously, as I just said, the grade 3 requires it, and so does the rest of the ride line, or at least the rest of the ride line does. So yeah, you kind of have to run this as your starter, so one of in the ride deck. Then we have our triggers. First up, we run one copy of Overtrigger, Greatest Star Estanza, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, Overtrigger, move trigger in your deck. When revealed as a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one of your units. It gets plus 1 for the turn, and if you revealed it during your jet check, activate its additional effect, which you get 2 during this fight, you get during your turn. All your rear guards get plus 10,000 power. So free 10k to the entirety of your rear guard is pretty solid, especially if you pull this early, like grade 1 or grade 2, or if you pull on your first grade 3 turn, that's fine, because having a full board of 10k boosted units means all of your rear guard columns got plus 20, your back row center got plus 10, and considering the fact that your back row center can pretty much give most of your board a free 5k, all around Ostanza works really well for numbers. You can run Volna for more multi-attacks, but yeah, we want to pressure with numbers, especially because we're already getting 4 attacks with the Vanguard, so one of Ostanza, you can really run any of the Lyrical Monasterio over. They'll have the same skill, just choose Ostranza because she's a human and the ride line's a human. Then we have our normal triggers, 3 copies of our draw trigger, Transparent Snowy Night Bear Toy, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k base, continues guard, so opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, she'll get plus 5,000 shield, so all around pretty solid. You know, she's a 10k shield, which is nice to have. She's also a draw trigger, so she helps increase the hand, and that's very important, because since we need the different MMe-Gs in hand, this is pretty much our way to dig through them. I'm glad they gave them rear guard skills, so there are reasons to run them in the main deck. So Bear Toy is good for that reason alone, being able to possibly add the MMe-Gs to our hand, but also she's a 10k shield, so if worst comes to worst, you need to throw it on every card for guarding. Bear Toy can come and help you with that one. So 3 of her, you can run the front trigger Parvi because it would apply for more numbers. I just choose Bear Toy because, as we're about to see with the deck, the very first card we're going to see after the triggers, in fact, I valued, consistency over power, because the deck got a decent amount of power when I was test playing it the wrong way. So I'm just going to assume it test played it the right way. It would still get a good amount of power. So 3 of Bear Toy. Then we have our 7 crits. Oh, I forgot to put that up to 4. It's actually 8 crits, my bad. So we have 8 crits, 4 Cheerful Sunshine Wars, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. This can really really be any crit you want. I just chose to make it worse because she's a human like the rest of the deck. And, you know, crit pressure. And then we have 4 copies of Precious 2 and Edwidge, Grade Zone boost, 50k shield, 4k power. Critical trigger, auto rear guarded by the booster. Put it to soul, choose reads, it gets 2k for the turn. It actually is important to run Edwidge in this deck because this deck can run into a Soul Blast problem very easily. So, especially because none of the support cards have Flame G in their card name. If they have Flame G in their card name, even just one of them, it would have made the Soul problem in this deck not exist, but none of them having Flame G automatically makes the Soul problem in this deck exist. So we have to run other cards to make that Soul problem not happen. So we run 8 crits, 4 of them can be whatever, but I do recommend another 4 of them being Edwidge just so you have Soul just in case. And when you have a restanding Vanguard, even if the Vanguard's not going to get the crit, you might as well give it to the other rear guards because you're always going to swing with the Vanguard first. So it's a nice form of pressure. And then 4 heals of Sigh of Relief Fabolia, Grade Zone boost, 50k shield, 5k power. Standard heal, nothing too special about it, just a free heal if you have more equal damage to your opponent. All runs a solid card. You can run any heal you want, I just chose to run Fabolia because she's one of my favorite heals, and I was getting tired of seeing the one from the demo decks. If you want to run counter heals, you can, but I prefer not to run them because I'd rather have a consistent 15k shield or fluctuating 10 to 25. But, you know, do as you wish with your heroes. I'm just going to pick 5 and put Air 4 of. Then move on to our main, or our normal units, and this is the part where I was like, you're going to obviously see why I was conservative when I was building this deck. 2 Flame G Beclair. So we already went over her skill. She does nothing in the main deck. She's just a Grade 0 with boost and 5k shield, 6k base. I really wish they gave Grade 0s 10k shield so you could warrant trying to run extra Grade 0s in your deck. You know, so Transrotor could be more powerful. You know, that one Grade 3 that they randomly put in the game that kind of has like a Soul Savory effect except on steroids. Yeah, because when I read the skill of the main Grade 3, to a technical extent, the main Grade 3 does not require them to be of a specific grade for the different names, so might as well run the starter for extra different names, especially because you have to keep one in soul all the times. But also, if worse comes to worse, and I soul charge an extra copy, well, now I have an extra card in my soul I can Soul Blast. So, 2 of Bear Claire in the main deck. It's a precaution. You can run an extra copy if you want to, because there is a room for a third one, but I prefer the 2 of just because consistency and not to screw myself over. You don't call this unless you have to. It's a worst comes to worst situation. 2 of. Then we have 3 copies of the reason that this would end up in Soul, my only out to the Soul Charge problem, and that would be Smart Catch OB. So Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard when she boosts a rear guard. If you have 5 or more units, Soul Charge 1, and this unit will get plus 5,000 power for that battle. All around pretty solid. She can help increase the souls, so you know we're not constantly going into a detriment by using the main Grade 3 skill to actually get our rear guards, or using the Grade 2 skill to mess with the opponent's board, because for some reason none of you 3 have the Flame G name, but being able to increase soul is nice, and being a 13k booster for that is nice as well, especially because this deck will almost always have a full board, but it does say 5 or more units, so technically speaking you can have 1 open rear guard circle and you'll still be able to use OB skill. Overall, she's a very solid Grade 1 to have, and she's a nice 3 of, but if you feel like you're going to want more Flame G units, and then you can up Blair Claire by 1 and then take out 1 OB for that, but either way I like OB out of 3 of for the Soul Charge, so 3 of. Then we have 4 copies of Dive to Blue Lycris, so Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard. When your Vanguard Flame G unit's card name attacks into anything, Vanguard or rear guard, counter boss 1 and bot deck a Flame G card from your drop zone on, bot deck a Flame G card from your drop zone, draw a card, and then you get, the player, all of your units with Flame G in their card names get plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. Yeah, that skill is actually really good if all of the support cards had Flame G in their card name. They don't, as I proved earlier, but you know, it'd be nice. But either way, though, its ability to recycle Flame Gs is nice. You can keep using Rosier more. The only downside is none of them go to Soul for some reason, so it does nothing because we need Soul to call them out from deck, but whatever. So it gets them back, which is nice. And then not to mention the fact it can get you a draw and it gets you 5k, and we do have ways of countercharging it here, so CB doesn't necessarily become a problem. So 4 of Lycris, she is a good Grade 1. She gets numbers, she can prevent you from decking out, and she can recycle your Flame Gs, and not to mention the fact she can possibly get you more hand card as well. So she's a nice 4 of, and while yes, herself, for some reason I didn't copy over the once per turn, but even though herself is a once per turn, if you have multiple copies, you can do it multiple times. So, you know, if you have 2 of them on board at the same time when your Vanguard swings, you can just do both of them if you have the CB for it to draw 2 cards, bot tech 2 cards, your board gets plus 10k for the turn, which is also pretty solid. So 4 of Lycris. Then we have 4 copies of our PG, Havid, while still warm Walmia, so Grade 1 boost, 0.6k base, continues Sentinel. You may have to farm Sentinels in deck upon guard circle. Choose one of your units, it cannot be hit on the battle if your hand has 2 or more cards in it. Choose a card from hand, discard a standard PG. Nothing too special about it. Basically means if this one and one of the cards is in your hand, placed on guard circle, you don't have to go with great, because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game. I do recommend you try to rush in the early game. I mean, your Grade 1 gets you early game rush if you go second, so, early game rush if you go first, but I do recommend trying to to aggro as much as you can, maybe with one Lycris, and if you have an extra Jana, a Jana, just so you can like kind of push your opponent to higher damage, because let's just say you benefit from having a higher damage of yourself and of your opponent, so when your opponent has to counterattack you later on, you can just wall it, you don't have to harm, which is great. And because you're constantly trying to mess with the fact that you have to have 3 Flame Gs on board, including the Vanguard, so technically only need 2 more, but since you're constantly trying to mess with that fact, Omnia is definitely helpful for trying to make sure those stay alive so your opponent doesn't kill them with big attacks. Also, to make sure that while you are pretty much throwing down all of your guarding power to make sure that you can do this, at least Walmia can defend you against anything. So 4 of Walmia, very solid PG. You can really run any of the Lyrical Monasterio PGs. I just chose Walmia because she's closer to the release time of Flame Gs. Then we have last grade 1 in the deck, 1 of in the ride deck, 3 of in the main deck, a Flame G Jana. Grade 1 boost 5k shield, aka base auto, when she was wrote upon by a grade 2 card with Flame G in the card name. Choose a Flame G declare from your soul. Call both this card and that card to rear guard circles. They can be in different columns if you want to. Put them into your soul at the end of the turn. All around pretty solid because it allows you to get a 6k booster on board. Typically I set that behind the Vanguard, and then you get Jana on board, which I typically shove in the front row. That's my preferred way if I have like a bunch of grade 2s in hand. Like say for example I have Endika in hand, I will probably do that, or if I have another copy of Vet in hand, I'll probably do that. But if I don't, then I'll probably do Jana in back row center, and then the starter on some arbitrary circle, and then like whatever unit I can boost with it on another circle. Or maybe I'll put if my hand's really bad or I just want to wait till grade 3, I'll put Jana and the starter in the same column just so I can swing with. Either way though, pretty good skill for that. And then auto rear guard them battle that it attacked. If your Vanguard is a Flame G declare, so like if you have the starter on Van, retire this unit, countercharge 1. All around pretty solid. She can replace herself from rear guard, so your opponent can't like bind her or retire her from their own effects and get benefits off it, and you get a countercharge out of it, so you're not adding to the CV problem, you're helping it. All around she's a very solid grade 1. She gets you more attacks and a very consistent early game, and not to mention the fact she allows your resources to be a little bit more manageable. I wish that effect belonged to the grade 2, but I'll take what I can get. 3 of John in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. Then we have our grade 2s, 4 copies of Dazzle, Bubble, Paradise, Presea. Grade 2 and set 5k shield, 10k base, auto when put on guard circle from your hand or discard it from your hand while riding from the ride deck. Counterbalance 1 or Energy Blast 3 to draw a card. So like I said earlier, there's only one card in this deck that takes up EB that isn't the energy generator, and that's her. So being able to basically always use that EB to draw a card in a CB heavy deck is pretty nice inherently, because you know, you now technically get to filter for your ride deck while you're discarding for it. And then auto when placed on rear guard circle, if your persona rolled this turn, Counterbalance 1 or Energy Blast 3, you always use the Energy Blast 3. You're never going to use a CB skill unless you really need the Energy Blast 7 to draw a card, but you know, take it as you will. Choose over units, and until end of turn it'll get plus 5,000 power, and if you chose a rear guard, return that unit to the hand from the rear guard at the end of that turn. So if you kill that rear guard, it's not going to go back to hand if it ends up in drop, but being able to bounce a rear guard back to hand is pretty solid, especially if you have to call PG for aggro, but also because she can give any unit 5k, so if you want to stack it on the Vanguard because your Vanguard is going to be the weakest this turn, you can. All around Presea is a very solid grade 2. She adds numbers, possibly allows for more consistently because you can just give 5k to a PG and bounce it back at the end of the turn. And not to mention the fact that every time you discard her, you're just getting more draws, and you can place it on guard circle to draw, so you can possibly get more hand cards for guarding. Either way, very good grade 2, 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Flat My Heart Person, who I thought was really good, because again, I originally thought all of the units were Flame Gs, and then when I realized that, I was like, her skill is great, but it still sucks the fact that there are less Flame Gs to proc with it. Grade 2 set 5k shield, 10k base, auto put on guard circle, put a Flame G unit with its card name from your drop zone to bottom, and then this unit will get plus 7,000 shield for that battle. So 15k shield is nice, don't get me wrong, and it recycles your Flame Gs, but if you don't have your Flame Gs in drop zone, she's not going to proc. See, the worst thing is, too, well, yeah, these two retire themselves. If you're not in the situation where you should retire them, your only way to get Flame Gs into drop zone, outside of, you know, using them as discard fodder, mainly this, which is what the other reason it's here for, is to use Rosier's skill to Soul Blast, and you have to be careful of when you do that, because if you don't see any of your Soul Chargers, say, for example, OB doesn't show up, then you have to be very wary about all the Soul you're losing from using Rosier's skill, because you still have to keep a copy of Blair Claire and Soul to use it. All around, she's a very good card though. I mean, she's a 15k shield, which is nice. It's just that I wish there were more Flame Gs to use her skill, but she's a nice 4 of for her skill alone. Then we have 4 copies of Overcoming Numerous Total Failures. Amuka, man, the numerous total failures I went over in that match were so big. Anyways, grade 2 and a set 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when placed on the rear guard circle with top 3 cards of your deck to 1 card with Flame Genius card from among them. Reveal it, put it to your hand, and put the rest on bottom of your deck in any order. So cool. It can add a Vet, it can add a Persona Ride, it can add a Jana, and I deliberately checked her skill to make sure it can add anything, so I could running Blue Claire in the deck if worse comes to worse scenarios. So cool, she can get any of them to hand. And then continues rear guard. If you have a grade grade 3 Vanguard, not grade 3 Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard in general with Flame G in his card name, she'll get boost. So all around pretty solid, which means this card can be placed at any point in the game and her skill will automatically proc off. Doesn't matter if she's placed from hand, doesn't matter if she's placed from deck, drop zone, or whatever. Even if it was a superior call, even if you're at grade 1, she'll still be able to check the top 3 if you found a way to get her onto board. And not to mention the fact that she'll still be able to boost, which makes her a very solid grade 2. She's just a nice card to have, easy to float the board with. Of course, we already have better boosters in the form of, required units on board, but at least we have a good possible replacement for them, and a nice early game rush that also acts as a consistency booster, so 4 of Amuka. Then we have last grade 2 in the deck, 1 of in the ride deck, 3 of in the main deck of Flame G Vet. Honestly, my favorite in terms of art is because I really love the punk girl aesthetic, but I also love the green blue fire. That's honestly really cool, and I like the hairstyle too. I don't know why. And it was grade 2 in step 5 Shield 10k base, auto and wrote upon by a grade 3 card of Flame G in its card name. If your soul has a Flame G Blood Claire, draw 2 cards, choose a card from your hand, discard, or not choose a card from your discard it, choose a card from your hand, bot deck it. So cool, allows you to add possibly more Flame Gs to hand, or guard power, or consistency, or anything this deck really needs, and then you bot deck a trigger, because that's what I've been doing ever since I've used that skill the first time. And then auto rear guard at the end battle this, you attack the Vanguard, or attack anything. If your Vanguard is Flame G Blood Claire, Soul Blast 1, retire her, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, kill it. Again, good. It can get Flame G's and drops on both from the Soul Blast and herself to, proc Person more and to proc Light Chris more. The only downside is there's only 4 Flame G's. One of them is yes, deliberate discard fodder or call fodder, but you don't want to call her unless you actually need her. And then Vet, well, again, possible Soul Blast problem. So she's nice because she can get rid of rear guards, but she also can kind of mess with your board presence and also put you into a soul problem. So don't use her skill unless you have the free soul to do so, but she's a nice 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck. And then we have our very last card in the deck, 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the right deck of our main grade 3, Flame G Rosier. Grade 3 to Persona 13k base. I really love the pink red lights. They're all really cool, and I don't know if that's her hair or a cape, but it's something and it looks cool. I also love the mic. Anyways, grade 3 to Persona 13k base, add auto Vanguard circle once per turn. Auto. Okay, I don't know how the hell that got there. The fandom's clearly on its own crack, but act Vanguard circle once per turn. Soul Blast 1, search your deck or drop zone for up to 1 grade 2 less card with Flame G in its card name. Call it to rear guard circle, and if you search your deck, you shuffle it. So cool, it can just Soul Blast out of Flame G and call a Flame G, which is pretty solid. But then also you probably want to deck thin for your other Flame G, so Soul Blast 1, maybe call Vet because you need rear guards, or maybe call Jana because you need counter charge, or maybe even call Better Claire because your other 2 are out of deck and for some reason I want to call them out from drop zone. So all around pretty solid because deck thinning is deck winning. It only costs a Soul Blast to do it, and she technically performs her cost. And then auto Vanguard. At the end of battle, that this unit attacked into anything, whether it was Vanguard or Rear Guard. If you have 3 or more units with Flame G in their different card names, by counterblasting 1, choose a Flame G Blue Claire from your soul, ride it as stand until end of turn. That unit loses all of its auto abilities. Oh yes, because this free draw card was definitely gonna break the game. It gets plus 2k for each card total in your and your opponent's damage zones. And at the end of that turn, you choose a Flame G Rosier from your soul, drop zone, ride it as rest. Okay, on the bright side, if you soul blast her out, you can at least superior ride from drop zone, which is cool. Not Blue Claire. You have to ride Blue Claire from soul, but if you have Rosier and then say for example you swing with Vet and this is the only thing in your soul, you can only soul blast her out and then she'll be able to still superior ride herself from drop, which is nice. But being able to give I only thought it was your opponent's damage zone when I was first playing it, so being able to give it more power off of your damage zone and your opponent's damage zone is really good. So I was consistently hitting 16Ks with its skill, so possibly 26K evens with its ability, which is nice to have. And not to mention the fact it's more attacked and it's only 1 CB. The downside is it does have to require 3 or more different Flame Gs, and there are very few different Flame Gs in the deck. But hey, Rosier does count as 1, so you really only need either the rest of the ride deck on the board, which is pretty solid, and you can just do that. And not to mention the fact that Rosier superior calls in this searches, so you're not in that bad of a situation. All around, her skill is pretty solid. She basically does her skill for free in this regard, and not to mention the fact that it can get you more Flame Juice and drop zone, and she gets a superior ride for good numbers that can also happen from the drop zone if worse comes to worse, and all of her skills proc with the opponent's at grade 2, which is also pretty solid. She's a nice 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck, a good grade 3. And without further ado, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this deck is fun to play. I'm not going to say it's busted because it's not in any way, shape, or form, but it does have a nice consistency with the ride line. We have counter charges if you run into a CB problem. We have a good board booster if you need it. We have a good free draw engine. We have good guard power. We have good consistency. We have a good rear guard skills for our ride deck. The only thing we need for this deck to be better is just more Flame Gs, because honestly we have the materials for the deck to be good, but these needed to be Flame Gs. Like, even if just one of these 3 support cards was a Flame G, the deck would have been amazing. But, yeah, now we need more Flame G units, and by the time we get more Flame G units, we're probably going to have to replace these consistency users. So, this deck's best chance of becoming like Black Demire, where it was good right out the box, immediately went away just because they didn't give 1 to 3 units a Flame G name. But you know what? It is what it is. The deck still is good, though, and I think it's fun to play, and I definitely recommend you try it out if you're interested in it. So, without further ado, I'm going to here. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us on Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to set up your Vanguards.